All right, welcome back to Harvest Moon Farm. My name is Mickey. Today we are going to make a couple things. We are going to make some strawberry cheesecake cookies. So when I was at work this week, somebody brought in some cookies from one of our local bakeries, and one of them, and they come like this big, they're giant. And one of them was a strawberry cheesecake flavor, and it was amazing. And so I immediately looked up to see how I could make a similar cookie. This is not going to be exactly the same as the cookies that we had from this bakery, but this is a strawberry cheesecake cookie. So the first thing that we need is some cream cheese. So I'm going to double this recipe. They make fairly big cookies, but they only make 12. So I'm going to double it. So I need 12 ounces of cream cheese. So 12 ounces of cream cheese would be 1.5 of these just little boxes. So I'm going to put these in my mixer. I'm going to put these in my mixer, and I'm just going to let the mixer do the work of getting this cream cheese all whipped up. So we were out running some errands this morning, and I forgot to get the cream cheese out before I left. So it is not really softened. So I'm going to let the mixer kind of soften it by beating it. So I've got one in there. I'm going to cut this second one in half. And then I'll put the other half in a baggie and put it in the refrigerator. Our half that we're not going to use. So I'm going to go ahead and open this other half up and stick it in the mixer. Maybe if I can get it open. There we go. And get this going. So to our cream cheese, we're going to add 2/3 of a cup of powdered sugar. Oh, there we go. So there's our powdered sugar. And now I'm just going to mix this again to mix in the powdered sugar. To make sure that we're getting all this in there, so I'm just going to scrape the sides a little bit. And let it mix a little bit longer. So I've got a small cookie sheet here and a piece of parchment paper. And we're going to scoop our cream cheese powdered sugar mixture out onto this parchment. So let's get all of our powdered sugar, or get all of our mixture here off of our beater so that I can stir it all up in the bowl. All right, so we need, let's see, we're supposed to use a 1.5 teaspoon scoop. I have a 1 teaspoon and I have this one. It's a little bit bigger. This might be 2 teaspoons, so I'll go a little bit light on this. And we're just gonna scoop this out. Come on. And put it on our tray. Alright, so I'm not really happy with the way that's working. I got my smaller scoop, and we'll see how this works. There we go. Alright, the smaller scoop actually seems to be working better. I think because this is just a better quality scoop. The other scoop, it was kind of sticking in there. So all right, 3, 6, 9, 12, 15, 18. Theoretically, this should have made 24 dollops. It's gonna make about 20. And of course, I can't get all of them on this tray without them sticking together. Darn it. So rather than get another cookie sheet, I'm just gonna use a paper plate. And I'm just going to go ahead and put these last few dollops on it. All right, I don't think I'm gonna be able to get another whole scoop on here. So 3, 6, 9, 12, 15, 18, 21, 22, 23. Okay, so I think we'll just do 23 cookies. We'll make sure that this all lines up correctly. So I'm gonna stick these in the freezer and let them sort of freeze while I'm putting together the actual cookie dough recipe. Okay, so I rinsed out my bowl and I washed out the bowl and the beater and my spatula so that I could reuse those. Okay, so now we're gonna start putting the cookie dough together. So we're gonna mix together flour, baking soda, and baking powder, and we're just gonna whisk it up. So we need 3 cups of flour. So the instructions say to spoon this flour into our measuring cup and then level it off, and then put it in your bowl. So I'm gonna go ahead and do that. There's one. I'm so excited for these cookies. I hope they taste as good as what is in my mind. 2. I'm getting flour all over my counter. And 3. All right, so now we need a teaspoon of baking powder and 1/2 teaspoon of baking soda. So here's our baking powder, 1 teaspoon. 1/2 teaspoon of baking soda, a little more. There we go. And then we're just gonna whisk that together. Actually, I'm just gonna use my spoon and just stir it all up. We just wanna make sure that we're getting the baking soda and powder incorporated in with our flour. And I forgot I was doubling this, so I didn't get enough of anything. So I actually needed 6 cups of flour. Goodness, that would have been a mess. So let's go ahead and get the rest of our flour. So there's 4. All right, so there's our 6 cups of flour, not 3. And then I need to get my baking soda and baking powder back out. We need another 1/2 teaspoon of baking soda and another teaspoon of baking powder. So we actually needed 6 cups of flour, 2 teaspoons of baking powder, and 1 teaspoon of baking soda, since we are doubling this. Okay, now we're going to give this another stir and make sure that all of that gets incorporated. All right, now we can move on. So we need 4 sticks of butter, softened, which I only have 2 sticks softened. I really wasn't prepared for this. I thought I was, and I wasn't. Okay, sadly, all the rest of my butter is frozen. So I am going to stick this in the microwave just for 15 or 20 seconds, I think. Ooh, I'm too old for those stairs, holy cow. If I can get the paper off of it, that is. Oh my gosh, come on. Okay, I'm gonna stick this in the microwave just for a short time and soften it just enough that I can start working with it. Okay, so I just did like 15 seconds, just enough to get it sort of workable, and I'm just gonna cut it in some smaller pieces and drop it in my mixer. I didn't want it to be melting all over my counter or all over my microwave. That would be bad, and that was not the goal here. So I'm just gonna cut this in pieces, throw it in my mixer, and then we'll let the mixer do some of the work. All right, so we've got our 2 cups of butter, or 4 sticks, and I'm just gonna turn this on and just let it go. So now we're gonna add our sugars, and we need 1 1/3 cups of just regular granulated sugar. This is a 2/3 cup measure, so I need 2 of those. And then 2/3 cup light brown sugar, and we want to make sure that this is packed. Oh. All right, there's our brown sugar. Now, we're going to turn the mixer back on, and we're going to let that mix in. Okay, so now we're going to add 3 teaspoons of vanilla and 1 teaspoon of strawberry extract. So there's our vanilla. And here's our strawberry. And then we're going to mix that in. Make sure we get all that strawberry in there. Then we're going to turn our mixer on and just mix that just enough to get the flavors incorporated. All right, now we're going to add some eggs. And we want to add 2 whole eggs plus 2 egg whites. And we're going to mix these after each one. So I'm going to crack each one in a bowl, throw it in here, and we'll go ahead and turn this back on. All right, so we're gonna leave our mixer on low. Whoops, we're gonna add our flour just 1 cup at a time. we'll just let that mix in. Smells really, really good. And then the recipe calls for fresh strawberries. I have a bag of frozen strawberries. They've got a little bit of ice crystals in them, so we need to get them used. But they will still be fine. They are delicious. Wrong way. Scrape my sides a little bit so I can get all this dough in here. Dough's getting pretty thick. I'm going to go ahead and put in the last of our flour. So I went ahead and measured out about 2 cups of strawberries, and I put them in the microwave so they can thaw enough that I can kind of chop them, because we want to chop them up small and add them to our cookie dough. So I'm going to go ahead and get this off of, get all this dough off my beater. As you can see, this is really thick. To put the strawberries back in for a little bit more in the microwave for just a little bit longer. So I'm going to go ahead and clean this off. We don't need it after this. Okay, so I am going to just take these strawberries and just chop them up pretty small. I think I'm going to get a bigger knife so I can get a better chop on these. Most of it's in pretty small pieces, so I'm going to go ahead and add it to my cookie dough. Like that. Oops, get the piece I threw on the counter, and then we're going to just stir these in. I think I'm going to get a wooden spoon because they kind of work better. So we just want to kind of fold this in without, hopefully not pulverizing our strawberries. But we also want to make sure that it's mixed up enough that all of our cookies are going to get some strawberry in them. Oh my gosh, they smell so good already. We're going to put this in the fridge and let it chill for about 30 minutes. And it suddenly just started pouring down rain here. Alright, so while that's chilling, I'm gonna wipe up my counters. Got flour and sugar and butter and everything all over them. So I'm gonna wipe this up a little bit. And I just realized I forgot a step with the strawberries. After I chopped them up, I was supposed to kind of coat them with some flour. Forgot that step, so too late now because it's already stirred into the dough. But I'm gonna go ahead and get my cookie sheets ready. Okay, so for these cookies, we're going to use our 3 tablespoon scoop, or wait, yes, we want 3 tablespoons of dough for our cookies. And this might be, no, that's 3 tablespoons. Okay, so we're just going to do 6 cookies per cookie sheet, because they are big cookies. There we go. So we're going to scoop these out and get them on our cookie trays, and then we're going to make a little divot in them for our cream cheese. All right, there's our first 6, maybe. And here's our first 6. You can use a teaspoon, you can use a measuring spoon, whatever you want to use. I have this little tart maker, and so I'm just going to push this down just a little bit to make a little divot in the top of this cookie. Oh, that's not cooperating. And we're going to put our cream cheese, little dollops of cream cheese that we put in the freezer, we're going to put those right in that little divot. And then we're going to bake them, except I probably should preheat the oven first since I don't have it on. It needs to be preheated to 375. I'm going to just stick that right there. Like that. And then the ones that are left on our cookie sheet, we'll put those back in the freezer while this first batch bakes. Whew. There we go. Okay, these cookies are ridiculously humongous. I'm going to set those on these cooling racks. All right, so I'm going to let these cool for a few minutes on the pan, and then I'm going to slide the paper, maybe. I'm going to try and slide the whole paper off onto the cooling rack so I can just go ahead and start the next batch. So I think if I make these again, I will make smaller things of cream cheese and cut the cookie size in half, because these are just ridiculously huge. Now they look delicious, they smell delicious. I can't wait to try one, but they're a little big. Oh, that worked. So this way I can, ooh, hot, hot. Wait, is that what I want to do? No. Oh. Oops. All right, so we're going to move these trays up here, and we're going to go ahead and get some more. I'm going to get another sheet of parchment paper, put on each of these trays, and get the rest of these cookies on them. Okay. So I did go ahead and stick this back in the refrigerator while the first batch was baking so that they stayed cold. And I think I have 11 little blobs of the cream cheese mixture left. But if we have one cookie without the cream cheese, it'll be fine. This dough is really stiff, so now that it's cold, it's hard to work, but if it's not cold, it kind of falls apart, or not falls apart, but that doesn't hold the ball shape that you want when you're putting it on the cookie sheet. So I think I'm gonna end up with a couple of extra cookies. There is just a little bit of dough left in here. I think I'm gonna scrape it all out. I don't really have room for another cookie, so I think I'm gonna scrape it out and just divide it between the cookies that I have. See, I have enough for another cookie. This one is kind of small. Kind of small. Smaller than the others, let me just say it like that. Alright, so we're going to take our little tart maker. We're going to try and press in here. So we're going to get out the rest of our cream cheese blobs. And we will fill what we can here. I forgot we didn't have enough for all of them, or else I wouldn't have put a little dip. Oh no, we don't. I'm just going to divide this one in half, sort of, and put them in there. All right, so these two trays are going to go in the oven for about 16 minutes, and then we will have these all baked. So my timer is going off on the second set of cookies. Oh, turn that off. Ooh. So here we go. I'm going to set these on the cooling racks as well. These cookies are so big, it's just crazy. All right, so we've got 24 of these cookies that are humongous. I am going to, let's see. So I want to get one of these. I'll take this one that's kind of shaped a little bit wonky, and I'm going to cut it in half. Put the other half back on the cookie rack, and we're going to give this cookie a try. So the cream cheese, you can see the cream cheese is in like a nice little dollop there. The strawberries, the little pieces of strawberry are in the cookies. We've got strawberry flavor in the cookie. This is really good. Does it taste like strawberry cheesecake though? I'm not sure. Well, sort of. It's delicious regardless. Okay. Okay, those are amazing. The next thing we're going to work on is some cinnamon jelly. So my grandma, my mom's mom, used to make a cinnamon jelly that everybody loved. And my aunts and some of my cousins keep asking me to make it. Of course, no one has the recipe. Nobody ever helped make it. Nobody knows how it was made. So I did my best just doing some research to find a recipe that might work. So I have a recipe we're going to try, and then I'm going to give some to my aunts and my cousins and see what they think, see if it tastes like grandma's. And if it doesn't, then I will tweak the recipe a little bit based on their input. So I'm gonna let these cookies cool, and then we'll get started on that jelly in just a little while. All right, so it's actually been a week since I said we were going to get this cinnamon jelly made, but life happened, so we're gonna get this started today. I actually am going to use my steam canner to can this. A steam canner you can use for anything that could normally be water bath canned that has to process for less than 30 minutes, and our jelly is only gonna process for 10 minutes. So I've got the water in this, and I've got the burner on. I'm gonna put the lid on it. I'll actually probably have to pull it out a little bit to make it sit with the lid on it. So we're just gonna let the water start warming up a little bit. So, so the cinnamon jelly is something that my grandma on my mom's side used to make all the time. Everybody loved it. Nobody has her recipe. So I looked through all the recipes that I had of my mom's, and she didn't have it either. So I've just done some research, and I found one that I think will work, and I'm just gonna modify it just a little bit. So we're gonna start out with apple juice as our base, because you have to have some sort of juice or something as your base. Now, I think you could probably use pear juice, like a light pear juice might work really well. I bought apple because honestly I didn't think about the pear until just now. But I'm going to go ahead and get this started. And we need 4 cups. So I'm going to put the 4 cups of juice in my saucepan, and I have started using the Pomona's pectin. I love it because it does not require as much sugar to set up, so it's really nice. So following those instructions, we also need to add 4 teaspoons of our calcium water that comes with the Pomona's pectin. And this, if you've never used the Pomona's, this is actually a little packet that you just add water to and mix it up. So we're going to add this. 1, 2, 3, 4. And this pectin is, or this, not pectin, this calcium water is what, the calcium water is what helps your jellies and jams set up without so much sugar. So I'm going to go ahead and turn the heat on and get that started warming up, and then we will, hold on, and then we will move on to our next step. Alright, so while our juice and pectin, or our juice and calcium water are coming to a boil, we are going to, so I'm going to use, normally I would use Red Hots, but there is one store near me that it's a hit or miss whether they have them. None of the other stores have Red Hots, and the store that sometimes has them did not have them, so I bought some. Oh no. Alright, I'm going to turn this off because I didn't buy what I needed. My allergies are really killing me today. Okay, so you guys see the name on this? This is not going to make them taste very cinnamony. These were right next to the cinnamon. They were like cinnamon bears or something. And I picked up these, and so I had to go back to the store, which actually worked out because when I went today, they had the Red Hots. Alright, so we've got our juice and our calcium water, so we're going to get this heated up. While we're waiting on that, I'm going to put a 1/2 cup of sugar, and then we're going to add 4 teaspoons of the pectin powder. Make sure my spoon is dry because I used it for the liquid earlier. So we just want to add 4 teaspoons of this dry pectin. And then we're just going to stir it into our sugar, and then we'll add the sugar and the red hots to our juice mixture. We just want to make sure that the pectin is well distributed in the sugar mixture so that it doesn't clump up. Alright, so that's ready. I'm going to go ahead and open a box of red hots. I'm not sure how many I'm going to use. Probably 2 for this batch. And this does also call for some lemon juice. I want about 1/4 of a cup. Alright, so we're going to bring this to a boil. So we wanted our juice to be We wanted our juice to be at a rolling boil, so I'm going to bring it in so you can see that. So you can see how that's just really boiling crazy. That's what we want. Alright, so now I'm going to add in the sugar and pectin. And it does have a tendency to clump up a little bit when you first put it in, but it will, those lumps will come out as it boils. Sometimes I use a whisk to kind of help break those up. There we go. As it boils, those will break up. So I'm going to go ahead and turn this down so before I boil it over. We've got to get our red hot melted. So I think I am going to use 2 boxes of red hots. So I cut down the sugar that you would normally use in a recipe like this to make sure that we don't make it over sweet when we add the red hots. So I'm just going to stir these until it seems like the candies are all or pretty much melted, which won't take long. This is obviously it's hot. And then we'll turn our heat back up and we'll let it come to a full boil again, and we'll let it boil like that for about a minute or 2. I am actually going to get just a little bit out of there. Whoa, just a little bit out of there. I want to make sure my sugar ratio is right. It's going to be hot though. Ooh, that's really good. Okay, we'll turn the heat back up. Ooh, yummy, that's delicious. So the candy's not, there's just a few little pieces left in there. So I want to get those all melted. We don't want chunks in our jelly. I probably should have put the candy in first with the apple juice. In fact, when I do the next recipe, because I got to make enough to share with my family on my mom's side because they all want to try it. When I do the next batch, I'll probably put the candy in with the apple juice when it starts getting hot. That way when I add the sugar, it's the perfect, that way when I add the sugar, the candy will already be melted and we won't have to worry about having a clump of candy like this. And if it gets to be where I feel like it's got to come out, I'll just take that out and put it in a bowl. Because it's, let's see. I think I am going to go ahead and take that out. I'll just take this clump of candy that's unmelted out. There's just a little bit, but I don't want it, I want to make sure that we don't have lumps in our jelly. Have it not be appetizing. Alright. There we go. Okay, so I'm going to turn this back up. You want to let it boil and stir continuously because it will boil over on you pretty easily if you're not careful. Because each one of these batches only makes about 4 or 5 of the little half-pint jelly jars. So we're going to let this cook about 1 to 2 minutes. And then we'll take it off the heat and we'll fill our jars. So we got our daughter all moved into her new apartment yesterday. She and her friend, they've got all their stuff. When I left them yesterday evening, they had most of their stuff unpacked. We had gone to get some groceries, so they put all their groceries away. They're figuring out, you know, where to put things in their kitchen cabinets and all that fun stuff of their very first apartment. So it was pretty exciting. They were super excited and giggly. It was awesome. Alright, so I'm going to turn this heat off, and I'm actually going to move this since I have an electric stove and I don't want it to keep cooking. And I'm going to, oh my gosh, move some of my stuff out of the way here. So I've got my jars here. These are all clean jars. So I am just going to pour this in here. And then use this to pour into my jars. And you just want to leave a 1/4 inch head space in your jelly jars. This looks beautiful. Alright, so that made 5 jars. Alright, so I actually did a pretty good job of not getting jelly all over the edges, but we're going to wipe the rims anyway, just to be safe. Already got a little on that one. And then, normally I would use my 4 jars lids, but these are brand new jars that someone gave me. They didn't mean to buy the jelly jar size, and they didn't want them, so they gave them to me. So I'm going to go ahead and use the lid that came with them. Ow. I'm going to let our water keep heating up in our steam canner. I'm actually going to turn it down a little bit though because, well, let's see. Because I want to just do these all at the same time. So I'm going to turn the heat down on this because I don't want to use up all the water. Okay, so now we're going to start our next batch. So that's good. So I know I should end up with about 10 jelly jars. Whoops, 10 jelly jars. So we've got our 4 cups of juice. And you want the 4 teaspoons of the calcium water. And any calcium water that you have left after you make your batch, you just put it in the refrigerator. So I'm going to put this back in the fridge so I can use it next time I need it. And I'm going to go ahead and add our 1/4 cup of lemon juice. Turn this on. And then I'm going to go ahead and put our candies, oh, this is hard as a rock. I'm going to go ahead and put our candies in while it's heating up. I think that will work better. Alright, so I've got my 1/2 cup of sugar here, and we're going to add our 4 teaspoons of pectin. Might have to go get my other package. Yep. I've only got 2 teaspoons left in this. I'm going to go get my other package. I bought a a bulk size package since you use the pectin faster than you use the calcium water. Alright, so we're going to put our other 2 teaspoons in here. Oh yeah, I think this was a much better idea, putting the candies in here with the juice while I'm heating it up because it's melting very well. Alright, so I'm going to stir up my pectin and sugar mixture. So we want to bring this juice mixture to a rolling boil like before. And yeah, the candy is melting much better now. There's still some in there, but I think it will melt a little better than it did the first time. And if I have to take the last few pieces out, then I will. So I'll turn that up now that the candy's all melted so that we can get it to a rolling boil. Alright, so there we go. We're going to go ahead and dump in our sugar and pectin. And I'm going to go ahead and just whisk that a little bit to break off those clumps. See, it's kind of clumpy when you first put it in, but it will break up. Let that boil about 2 minutes, and I'm going to keep stirring it so it doesn't boil over. Most of those little pectin clumps are broken up now. I see a few. And then we're just going to do like we did before. I'm going to dump it into that Pyrex measuring cup. And because that's the least messy way to do it. And since this fits perfectly in that 4-cup measuring container, that has worked out really well. And I will include a link to the instructions, the recipe for this, and the instructions as to what I did, you know, what I used. I'll link that down below in the description box. Whoops. Alrighty, so. Oh, darn it. So I did make a mess this time. Got jelly everywhere. Oh well. Alright, so I actually have, I wonder if that's enough for one more jar. I'm going to go grab another jar. Actually, what I think I'm going to do with this jar is just fill it, and then we'll just put it in the refrigerator and use it ourselves. Look how beautiful that is. Oh my goodness. Okay. So I'm going to put the lids on these. Oh, first I'm going to wipe these rims because I did spill on this batch. Particularly on this one. I spilled down the sides of this one too, so once these come out of the canner, I'll have to give the sides of this particular one a good scrub. Okay. Oops. Ouch. So get our lids on those. Okay, so I'm going to turn this burner off. And I've moved this to the large burner on my stove. And it looks like it's at the right zone. There's a oh, I can't think of the word. What am I trying to say? There's a display on the top that tells you when the canner is in the right range for your area. So I'm just going to go ahead and set these jars inside here. Put our lid on. Put our lid on correctly. There we go. And We'll give that just a minute to come back up to the proper level, and then we'll start our timer. So I dripped jelly on the edge of my counter, down my cabinets, all the way onto the floor. Oh my goodness. All right, so that's almost up to temperature. All right, there we go. So now we're gonna set our timer for 10 minutes and we will just let it process. And then when our 10 minutes is up, we're gonna let this sit for 5 minutes with the heat off and the lid on. And then we will take these out and set them on a towel. We'll let them cool the rest of the day and overnight. And then we'll take our rings off, mark them, and put them away. Or in my case, put them to the side for my cousin and my aunts. So our jar that we filled for us, I'm gonna let it cool just a little bit, and then I'm just gonna put a reusable, one of those plastic reusable lids on it, and we'll stick it in the refrigerator. So the timer for that first 10 minutes of processing time is almost up. When the timer goes off, I'm gonna turn the heat off, I'm gonna move it to another burner. And then I'm going to set the timer for 5 more minutes. So when you're using this steam canner, that last 5 minutes is very important. It is a part of your processing time. So there's our timer going off. So I'm going to turn this off. I can touch it. There we go. And I'm just going to slide this over to a cool burner. I'm going to set the timer for 5 more minutes. And then when this 5 minutes goes off, then we can take our lid off and we can take our jars out. We just want to make sure that you don't forget that last 5 minutes when you're using your steam canner. So my last 5 minutes of timing just went off. I turned the timer off, took the lid off my canner, and now I'm going to move these from the canner over here to a towel on my counter to cool. Look how beautiful that jelly looks. Oh my goodness. So I've got 10 little jelly jars plus the one that we had for us. So Nikki, if you're listening, you've got some jelly here. Nikki's my cousin. She's been asking me for months if I will make this. So they will all be very happy. And my aunts, Aunt Jackie, Aunt Edna, and Carol, I know you guys don't usually watch my full YouTube videos, but I'll probably make a short with this, and so they'll see it on Facebook or something, and so they'll be excited. Okay, so we're gonna let these sit overnight. Well, it's about 10:30. We're gonna let these sit the rest of the day and then overnight, and then tomorrow morning I'll go ahead and take the rings off and mark them. I'll put some aside for us, and then I'll set some out so that I can gift them to my family so they can try it and let me know if it's close to my grandma's. All right, so that's gonna do it for today. I just wanna say thank you very much for hanging out with me. We made the strawberry shortcake, or not strawberry shortcake, I keep saying that. We made the strawberry cheesecake cookies, which were amazing. We have just a few left. My husband's been going through them. So I just wanna say thanks for hanging out with me. Actually, I guess it's been a week since we made the strawberry cheesecake cookies last Sunday. We made the jelly today, but I really appreciate the time that you spend with me. I appreciate everyone's comments and support, and I look forward to seeing everyone on the next video. Thanks guys, have a great day.